Bottom line thinking ensures your future. So how do I become a better bottom line thinker? Stay tuned. Hello again, everyone. I'm Eli's dad with Project Eli, where we educate, we lead, we inspire. And we are closing out very shortly our long series on how successful people think, because thinking is hard work. It's based upon the book by John C. Maxwell, to whom we give a tremendously huge shout out because we have stolen much of his prose. Why am I doing this? I have a series, The Owner's Manual for Your Brain, that covers how successful people think, the process, how to go about it, how to do it. This is a different angle. John C. Maxwell angle is different than my angle. I feel that my videos on that, and I strongly recommend you go into the description box, click on that series, and pay attention to it. I consider that to be my best work. But this is a different angle, and when you hear things coming from different directions, they click sometimes more from one direction than another direction. Who knows? That's why it's very, very important. The thing to me that separates the 95% crowd from the 5%ers that are the achievers is the way that they think. So that's why it's so critical to be able to think as a successful person does. You got two different angles to go at. Hopefully one of those will click with you so that you can achieve the success that you desire and you deserve. Let's get right to it. How do you enjoy the return of bottom line thinking? It isn't hard to see the value of the bottom line. Most people would agree that bottom line thinking has a high return. But learning how to be a bottom line thinker, that can be challenging. First, identify the real bottom line. Here's the how-to. Here's the blueprint. The process of bottom line thinking begins with knowing what you're really going after. It can only be as lofty as the big picture vision, mission, or purpose of an organization. Or it can be as focused as what you want to accomplish on a particular project. What's important is that you be as specific as possible. If your goal is for something as vague as success, you'll have a painfully difficult time trying to harness bottom line thinking to achieve it. The first step is to set aside your wants. Get to the results you're really looking for, the true essence of the goal. Set aside any emotions that may cloud your judgment and remove any politics that may influence your perception. What is it you're really trying to achieve? When you strip away all the things that don't really matter, what are you compelled to achieve? What must occur? What is acceptable? That's the real bottom line. Second, make the bottom line the point. Have you ever been in a conversation with somebody whose intentions seem other than stated? Sometimes the situation reflects intentional deception, but it can also occur when the person doesn't know his own bottom line. The same thing happens in companies. Sometimes, for example, an idealistically stated mission and the real bottom line just don't jive. Purpose and profits compete. You know, in recent American politics, I can't help but think back to when we were having the election last fall, and I couldn't help but think that every decision that the former president was making was based upon his desire to be re-elected for a second term. My thought, and I stated it right then, was that if the president, the power that be, the bully pulpit, turned all of his efforts towards working on this pandemic and getting results, then his being reelected would have been a piece of cake, would have been a walk in the park. Instead, he had it backwards. I need to get reelected. At the end, he wasn't even talking about the pandemic. This is the country's biggest issue. Do you follow what I'm saying? You've got to recognize why you're in office. I'm in office to help the people, to make things better. I'm not in office to be served. I'm in office to serve. If making a profit were the real bottom line and helping people merely provided the means for achieving it, then a company would suffer. Its attention would be divided, and it would neither help people as well as it could, nor make as much profit as desired. Third, create a strategic plan to achieve the bottom line. Bottom line thinking achieves results. Therefore, it naturally follows that any plans that flow out of such thinking must tie directly to the bottom line, your why. And there can only be one, not two or three. Once the bottom line has been determined, a strategy must be created to achieve it. In organizations, that often means identifying the core elements or functions that must operate properly to achieve the bottom line. Now that's the leader's responsibility. The important thing is that when the bottom line of each activity is achieved, then the bottom line is achieved. If the sum of the smaller goals doesn't add up to the real bottom line, then either your strategy is flawed or you've not identified the real bottom line. Fourth, align team members with the bottom line. Once you have your strategy in place, make sure your people line up with your strategy. One of the ways I like to say that is share the vision, sell the dream. Ideally, all team members should know the big goal as well as their individual role, knowing their individual role in achieving it. They need to know their personal bottom line and how that works to achieve the organization's bottom line. When you work with a company, it's critical that you see yourself as a contributor to reaching the big goal. And that starts with the janitor that cleans up the offices and the warehouses and so on. It's like, I'm doing this so that our company can achieve this greater goal. Otherwise, work becomes tedious if you don't have a vision. That's why it's so critical to share the vision and to sell the dream. Fifth, stick with one system and monitor those results continually. You've got to continually measure results. Some organizations get into trouble by trying to mix their systems. Many kind of systems can be successful, but mixing different systems or continually changing from one to another leads to failure. Bottom line thinking cannot be a one-time thing. It has to be built into the system of working and relating that you're trying to achieve. You can't just tune into the desired result every now and then. Achieving the bottom line thinking must be a way of life, or it sends conflicting messages. Personally, I'm very much a bottom line thinker. It's part of my system for achievement. I practice it every day. When I do my quiet thinking time, I'm always focused on the big picture, the why, the why, the why. If you don't have measurements that help you get there, you're wasting your efforts. My most influential mentor, Bob Anderson, would call, he was in charge of about 25 offices. I was merely one at the time, and then I was in charge of 3 or 4 offices. Okay, but to start with, I was in charge of one. He would call virtually every single day, either in the morning or the afternoon or the evening, to hear, and he would ask bottom line questions. And what was so critical about that, why that company was successful, was because you knew he was going to call, you knew he was going to ask bottom line questions, and if you wanted to be in his good graces, which you certainly did, then you made sure that the answers you were able to give him were the right answers. So you were focused. So from the ivory tower, he was able to keep people in the offices all over the country, the managers, focused on the individual bottom line of the company. Does that make sense? So there was a measuring stick. We had statistics. Now, one of the things that I want to alert you to is that sometimes people do things bass-ackward in this particular scenario. What they do is they'll grab one statistic and they'll say, wow, this is really, really important. I'll give you an example. At the library, one of the statistics is the number of books that were taken out. Okay, that's pretty simple, right? So one day, the executive director of the library said, you know what, if you take out 5 books, we'll allow you to take out a video for free. You don't have to pay for it. We don't care if you take out the books and then, don't even read them and come back the next day and take out 5 more and get another video. What is the purpose of the library? The purpose of the library is to share information, is to provide reading material, novels and things like that, and also videos and so on and so forth. That's the purpose. But she was bastardizing the statistics to try and look good. What's the purpose is to add value to the community. When you lose track of that and you just try and pump up your statistics, you're not succeeding. Does that make sense? You have to be true to your goals. Bob Anderson continually kept his eye on the company's bottom line by monitoring every core area. When it comes right down to it, regardless of your bottom line, you can improve it with good thinking. And bottom line thinking has a great return because it helps you to turn your ideas into results. Like no other kind of mental processing, it can help you to reap the full potential of your thinking and achieve whatever you truly desire. Next time we get together, we're going to give our brief summary of how successful people think. Once again, huge shout out John C. Maxwell, and let's always remember, don't ration the passion, fashion the passion. I'm Eli's dad.